we talk about that trauma that is part of the job, really. It's part of being in the military. It's part of being a first responder. Um, but the piece that you're talking about is that sense of purpose, and the loss of that is devastating as the trauma can be. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, certainly. So, especially when your identity and your self worth and your value is all wrapped up in this profession or this role that you have, the loss of that is a fundamental loss of who you are and what your identity is. We look at first responder. Well, I mean, the typical veteran experience, an individual enlist or join the military when they're between 18 to 22 years old. What we now understand about brain development and the prefrontal cortex and everything about our identity that we understand. So for a service member, most of that, if not all of that, was developed or really came online through this lens of military service. So there's so much of the identity that's wrapped up in that. And the sense of meaning and purpose, not only does it provide that capacity to endure suffering, but bringing this back to the topic of trauma, what is so fascinating about meaning and purpose and why it's so critical to understand it and its role in our life is that what I understand after a traumatic experience or traumatic event, there's really two potential outcomes or a combination of two potential outcomes. One is post-traumatic stress. We spend so much time focused on that. Everybody talks about it. There's libraries
Everybody's
of
heard about it.
information about post-traumatic stress. But there's also another outcome, the other side of the same coin, which is post-traumatic growth. So the
Right.
same traumatic experience that created hardship or suffering in your life could also be, and here we go, this is the gardening tip. This could also be the experience that planted a seed for growth
Uh,
to take place. Growth that
yes.
you can only experience because of the trauma, not despite the trauma.